Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week I wanted to talk about context and how context can actually change over time. This was kind of brought on by one of the songs that I wrote in 2019 called Bereft. And originally the song was about kind of just sitting home over the weekend and like not really having any plans and just kind of missing out on hanging out with people. But the lyrics kind of changed for me once 2020 hit. This song was written in 2019 in October, I think. But you know, with the pandemic and everything else, the whole feeling of isolation is it hits different, as they say these days. So I'm going to do something that I haven't done before on this show, and that is put in effort and actually kind of splice in the song just so you hear what I'm saying. By the fire, looking out at the world that was, haven't seen another soul in ages. Smell the wind and its petrichor. But yeah, I really love that song. And honestly, the fact that the context for that song has really changed to kind of mirror the experience that a lot of us had over 2020 and 2021 and, you know, to some degree 2022. That has actually increased its cachet with me. It actually resonates more with me now than it did when I originally wrote it. And I really love how just contextually the song has changed so much over time. And I think that there's a lot of value in not making something so very specific that it just kind of mirrors one life experience. I love the idea of making things vague because that context can change and shift and become more meaningful over time when you're looking at art in general. And obviously, you know, I'm talking about music, but as always, this goes for everything. And I think that, I don't know, I don't really have a lot more to say other than that just kind of revelation where I was listening to this song a week ago or so, and I was like, oh man, this really has a different tone to it now that we've kind of gone through this shared experience together. So I don't, this isn't really something that you can do deliberately when it comes to making art. Like, this is something that just kind of happens over time. But I think one of the values that you can strive toward when making something that maybe can change context over time is to be vague and be kind of ambiguous with your meaning. Whether that meaning can have multiple interpretations or it's just kind of layered within multiple layers of of just metaphor or something. Like there's a lot that you can do just to kind of obfuscate the original message for that. And this is a personal opinion, but I personally really like when art is interpretive, where it doesn't just hammer home like what you're supposed to think or what you're supposed to feel. Movies do this a lot lately, where they're just like, oh, this is what's happening. And then there's this flashback that tells you exactly what the character's thinking and how they're feeling. And, you know, I feel that the actor should be able to convey that without having to, you know, rely on like movie tropes and stuff like that. But it's a little side topic. Sorry. But I think that, you know, keeping things vague and ambiguous and allowing the listener to interpret them or the art experiencer to interpret them is just very valuable, because contextually things can change, and then it could mean more in the future, just based off of, you know, what happened. I mean, even One Last Bonfire Before the World Ends, which I wrote in 2018, at the end of 2018, I believe. Like that whole album is vaguely apocalyptic based off of the album title, but like a lot of the songs in there are kind of just like, you know, watch out for what's coming. And, you know, things happened after that, and it's not like it's prophetic or anything, but the fact that the listener's experience has evolved and changed over time due to these like shared experiences, that it just feels different when you listen to it. And I think that that's really important and really cool. And I guess the whole point of this post is saying art is cool, but I think that it's a neat thing to keep in mind, and it's a neat thing to just kind of experience. And like listening to a lot of old music these days, like stuff that I listened to growing up in like the 90s and the early 2000s, like, you know, some of the experiences I hadn't had yet when I was younger, because I was just a kid. And, you know, a lot of these songs were not like adult themes as in like sexual or anything, but they were adult themes, like just being a grown-up and having responsibilities and stuff. Like it had those adult themes that never really resonated with me until I grew up and like had those experiences for myself. So it's cool. Art is cool. That's the takeaway here. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one. So thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter, and thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday and a fantastic weekend, and I will talk to you in the next one. Be remarkable.